Guns N' Roses wasn't just a rock band. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, explosive, and dangerously vibrant in a way the world had never seen before. People called them the most dangerous band in the world, but that title barely scratches the surface. Because behind the riots and chaos, behind the headlines and destroyed hotel rooms, there were secrets, betrayals, psychological scars, hidden recordings, near-death experiences, and strange rumors whispered among roadies, journalists, and close associates who swore they saw things fans should never know. Tonight, you'll hear 11 hidden secrets about Guns N' Roses that even the biggest fans rarely mention. The stories hidden behind the danger, the drama, and the myth that made this band seem less like musicians and more like a storm. Let's start with the truth behind the name that shaped their entire image. The nickname, the most dangerous band in the world, didn't come from the fans. It didn't come from the label either. It wasn't a marketing campaign, a PR stunt, or some flashy phrase invented to make the band look edgy. It came from fear. Real, genuine fear. In the late 80s and early 90s, music journalists were dealing with something they didn't know how to categorize. While most rock bands acted wild, Guns N' Roses acted unpredictable. Security teams hated working their shows. Promoters had panic attacks before concerts. Insurance companies refused to cover them unless premiums were sky high. There were nights journalists were told to avoid backstage because no one could guarantee their safety. Photographers didn't know if Axl would pose for a shot or smash the camera. City officials called meetings before the band arrived, trying to prepare the police for potential riots. One report from a Los Angeles promoter said, "This band is unstable. If something goes wrong, the city pays the price." Another journalist wrote, "I have covered Motorhead, Mötley Crüe, Metallica, but Guns N' Roses is the only band that ever made me nervous." But the moment that cemented the label forever wasn't written by a journalist at all. It happened one night, during a show that spiraled into pure chaos. It became one of the most infamous nights in rock history. And the reason the world realized that this wasn't just a band, it was a powder keg waiting to explode. And explode it did. July 2nd, 1991, St. Louis. A night that started like any other, and ended like nothing the rock world had ever seen. Axl Rose spotted a man in the crowd holding a prohibited camera. He asked security to deal with it. They didn't move. And that was the moment everything unraveled. Axl jumped off the stage, punched the man, grabbed the camera, climbed back up, and shouted the now infamous words, "Well, thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home." He slammed the microphone, walked off, and Guns N' Roses was gone. But the crowd wasn't. Within seconds, the audience turned violent. Chairs flew, fists flew, fans climbed the rafters, equipment disappeared. The arena transformed into a battlefield. When the police finally regained control, more than 60 people were injured, dozens were arrested, and the venue suffered over $1 million in damages. But the most shocking part? This wasn't the only dangerous night the band ever faced. There were promoters who begged them not to return, cities that tried to block them from performing, fans who came expecting music, and sometimes got chaos instead. And even though the riot made global headlines, it wasn't the most dangerous moment for the band internally. Because inside Guns N' Roses, danger lived closer than anyone realized. Some of it came from the crowds, but some of it came from inside the band members themselves. And no moment proves this more than the night Slash's heart stopped beating. Slash has always looked unbreakable. The top hat, the cigarette, the Les Paul, the calm energy in the middle of chaos. But there was a moment when he was anything but invincible. It happened during one of the darkest phases of his addiction. Doctors later said his heart stopped for 8 full minutes. 8 minutes without a pulse. 8 minutes with no signs of life. Medically, he was gone. Paramedics did everything they could. Adrenaline shots, electric shocks, chest compressions, and somehow, against every medical expectation, Slash came back. But what most fans don't know is that this wasn't his only near-death moment. There was another night, told quietly by people close to him, when a medication reacted badly with substances already in his system. He collapsed, barely breathing. Crew members thought they were watching him fade away in real time. Slash later said he believed he wouldn't live past 35. Not because of fame, not because of the pressure, but because of the life he was living night after night. And yet, even surviving this didn't calm the storm around Guns N' Roses, because danger wasn't coming only from physical risks. Some dangers came from inside the band, from disappearances no one could explain, And that leads us to the band member who walked away silently and mysteriously. Izzy Stradlin was the quiet heartbeat of Guns N' Roses, the calm in the middle of the hurricane. But behind his stillness hid something the public never saw, moments when he simply vanished without warning. Roadies told stories of arriving for rehearsals only to discover that Izzy was gone again. No messages, no explanations, no dramatic exit. Just gone. One assistant remembers calling hotels around Los Angeles, trying to track him down, only to hear the same answer. No one by that name checked in. What people outside the band didn't know was that Izzy had become increasingly uncomfortable with the chaos. He hated being late. He hated the drugs, the fights, the unpredictable explosions happening backstage. And he hated the way the band was drifting into something he didn't recognize anymore. There are rumors that one night after watching Axl unleash a furious backstage rant, Izzy didn't just walk out. He disappeared to another city, staying silent for days. When he finally returned, he barely spoke about it. He just picked up his guitar and acted like nothing had happened. Insiders say he reached a point where he was emotionally exhausted. The danger that made Guns N' Roses legendary was the same danger draining him from the inside. When he eventually left the band for good, people were confused. There was no dramatic farewell, no big fight, no confrontation. Izzy did what he had always done. He walked away, quietly, calmly, completely. His silence created a new layer of mystery around the band. And while fans speculated about his reasons, deeply buried rumors about Axl flooded the rocker world. Rumors so strange that even the crew didn't know what to believe. And that brings us to the bizarre urban legends surrounding Axl Rose. The things that blurred the line between man and myth. No rock star attracted more rumors than Axl Rose. Some were exaggerated, some were completely fabricated, but some existed because people truly couldn't understand him. One rumor claimed Axl lived inside a bunker beneath his house, a private underground chamber with red walls and no windows, where he wrote lyrics for hours in total isolation. Another said he slept in a soundproof room, lined with velvet because regular silence wasn't silent enough. There were whispers that Axl kept dozens of unreleased tracks locked inside a reinforced vault in his home, with only 2 people knowing the access code. Roadies said they saw tapes labeled with dates going back to the mid-80s, over 40 versions of songs no one had ever heard. Some rumors were darker. A photographer swore that Axl had a mirror ritual before every show, staring at himself in complete silence until someone knocked on the door. Others said he refused to enter certain venues because of bad energy. No one ever confirmed these stories. Axl himself ignored them entirely. But the fact they existed shows how mysterious he had become, and how the band's chaotic reputation fed into everything around them. And the chaos didn't just live in the rumors, it exploded during the Use Your Illusion era, an era that nearly ended GNR from the inside. The Use Your Illusion tour wasn't just big, it was overwhelming. 194 shows across 27 countries, an army of crew members, millions of dollars spent on logistics, private jets, tattoo artists, chiropractors, personal masseuses, and endless hotel bills. But behind the spectacle, the band was falling apart. Axl frequently delayed shows, sometimes by hours. Fans waited angrily. Promoters panicked. Slash and Duff spiraled deeper into addiction. Matt Sorum grew frustrated watching the band crumble on stage and off stage. Izzy had already walked away, leaving a void no one could fill. The emotional tension inside the band was unbearable. Some nights they didn't know if Axl would appear. Other nights, Slash was too intoxicated to remember playing. Duff's health was deteriorating fast, and the crew whispered about how long he had left before his body gave out. Members fought, crew members quit, promoters threatened lawsuits, shows collapsed into chaos. There's an unconfirmed rumor that one night after a massive backstage argument, a staff member told a promoter, "If they survive this tour, it'll be a miracle." And that prediction wasn't wrong, because what came next wasn't just conflict, it was betrayal. Most fans know that Axl Rose and Slash had problems, but few truly understand the moment that broke their relationship. During the Use Your Illusion sessions, Axl quietly replaced parts of Slash's guitar tracks with recordings from another guitarist, without informing Slash. For a musician, especially a guitarist as passionate as Slash, this wasn't just a creative disagreement, it was a personal one. Imagine hearing your own song without your own guitar. Imagine discovering that someone had overwritten you, erased you, while your bandmates stayed silent because they didn't want to get involved. Slash felt betrayed. Axl felt justified. He said the parts needed to be corrected. Slash said it was the moment he stopped recognizing the band he loved. That wound remained open for decades, a wound that would later contribute to the breakup that shook the rock world. And yet, the outside world had no idea, because while this betrayal brewed in the studio, something else was happening behind the scenes. A political firestorm was coming, and it was aimed directly at Guns N' Roses. Before Appetite for Destruction became the best-selling debut album in US history, it almost died before even hitting the shelves. The original album cover featured a graphic piece of art that shocked retailers across the country. Major chains refused to stock it. Some called it immoral. Others said it was a danger to America's youth. Politicians got involved. Newspapers wrote opinion pieces accusing the band of glorifying violence. This wasn't normal controversy. This was a full-scale cultural attack. Internally, the label panicked. Executives pressured the band to change the cover, worried the album would be banned entirely. Axl refused at first. Slash didn't care. Duff was too deep in chaos to focus. Steven Adler just wanted to play drums. Eventually, the label forced the switch to the cross-skull design we all know today. Ironically, the controversy made fans even more curious, and sales exploded. But behind the success, the danger was still growing. Because while the world debated album art, Duff McKagan faced a crisis far more terrifying than public backlash. His own body was about to turn against him. Duff McKagan was the wild spirit of Guns N' Roses, charismatic, sharp, and always ready to party. But his lifestyle came with a price so severe that doctors still talk about it today. Years of drinking everything he could get his hands on. Beer, vodka, wine, anything with alcohol, pushed his pancreas to the breaking point. One morning, Duff woke up in agony. His stomach was swollen, rock hard, and burning from the inside. His pancreas had burst internally, flooding his body with dangerous enzymes. Doctors said he was hours away from dying. He couldn't stand. He couldn't speak. He couldn't process what was happening. His mother rushed to the hospital, convinced she was about to lose her son. Duff later said the pain was so intense, he thought he was on fire from the inside out. A nurse told him quietly, "You need to stop, or you won't make it to your mid-30s. That was his turning point. The moment he dropped alcohol forever. The band didn't fully grasp how close he came to death. Fans only learned years later. And while Duff survived physically, emotionally the band was drifting into a darker place. Because even as they filled stadiums around the world, something mysterious was happening in the shadows. There were recordings, tapes no fan has ever heard, hidden away and whispered about behind closed doors. Between 1985 and 1987, Guns N' Roses recorded dozens of demos, rehearsals, and secret sessions that never reached the public. Roadies swear they saw tape boxes labeled with dates and song titles that don't match anything in the band's released catalog. One crew member described boxes stacked in a storage room during the Appetite tour, filled with early versions of November Rain, jam sessions with Izzy's raw guitar work, and full tracks that simply vanished over the years. Rumor has it that some of these tapes disappeared after a studio management change. Others claim Axl personally took them home and locked them in a vault accessible only to him. Some say Slash kept copies of certain reels. No one knows for sure. But one thing is clear. There is a hidden archive of Guns N' Roses music the world has never heard. Music recorded before fame twisted the band, before internal war broke them apart, before danger became part of their identity. And these lost tapes aren't the only thing buried in mystery. Because there was a rumor circulating in 1989 that pushed Axl emotionally to the edge. A rumor strong enough to nearly end the band right there. By 1989, Guns N' Roses was unstoppable. They were loud, wild, unpredictable, and adored. But with fame came a shadow, and that shadow fell heavily on Axl Rose. A major magazine published an article labeling him the new villain of rock. It wasn't just criticism. The piece painted him as dangerous, unstable, and unfit for the spotlight. Insiders claim Axl took it personally, so personally that he contemplated ending the band entirely, not pausing it, not taking a break, ending it. He reportedly told someone close to him, "If this is what people think I am, why keep going?" Whether this quote is real or distorted over time, it reflects something true. Axl's emotional struggles were deeper than fans realized. He wasn't just the explosive frontman the world saw on stage. He carried childhood trauma, trust issues, and scars from the chaos around him. And the truth is, Guns N' Roses didn't become the most dangerous band in the world because of riots, fights, or headlines. They became dangerous because they lived on the edge, emotionally, physically, creatively, every single day. Which brings us to the closing truth. The world called Guns N' Roses dangerous because they caused riots, broke rules, and lived chaotically. But the real danger was something deeper. It was the vulnerability, the fear, the heartbreak, the addictions, the betrayals, the pressure of fame colliding with childhood wounds. Guns N' Roses wasn't dangerous because they were violent. They were dangerous because everything about them felt real, raw, unpredictable, and painfully human. They didn't just make music. They lived it with every bone in their bodies. These hidden stories opened your eyes. If you felt the heartbreak, the chaos, the mystery behind the legend, then support this channel so we can keep bringing you the untold side of Guns N' Roses. Hit subscribe, tap like, and tell me in the comments, which of the 11 stories surprised you the most? Your voice helps this channel stay alive and keeps the legacy of the world's most dangerous band burning bright.